The sleek human ship Odyssey sliced through the inky darkness of space. Captain Jack sat in his command chair, eyes fixed on the viewscreen. Stars rushed by as the ship hurtled toward the unknown. "Captain, we're picking up an unusual signal," Lieutenant Murrah reported from her station. "It appears to be coming from a nearby star system." Jack leaned forward, curiosity piqued. "Set a course, Lieutenant. Let's check it out." As the Odyssey approached the source of the signal, a lush green planet came into view. Jack's heart raced with anticipation. Could this be first contact with an alien race? "We're being hailed, Captain," Mara said. "Audio only." "Put it through." Jack stood, straightening his uniform. A melodic voice filled the bridge. "Greetings, travelers. I am Queen Vala of the Zelnian people. Welcome to our world." Jack couldn't help but smile at the warmth in her voice. "Thank you, Queen Vala. I am Captain Jack of the Earth ship Odyssey. We come in peace, seeking friendship among the stars." "Your arrival is most fortuitous, Captain Jack," Vala replied. "We have long hoped to meet other sentient life. Please, join me on the surface so that we may speak face to face." Jack assembled a small away team, and they took a shuttle down to the coordinates Vala provided. As they stepped out onto the alien soil, an entourage of tall, slender beings with shimmering silver skin awaited them. In the center stood a woman who could only be Queen Vala. Jack's breath caught in his throat. Vala was strikingly beautiful, with long, iridescent hair and eyes that sparkled like starlight. As their gazes met, he felt an instant connection, as if some invisible force was drawing them together. "Captain Jack," Vala said warmly, extending a delicate hand. "It is a pleasure to welcome you to Zelnia." As Jack took her hand, a jolt of electricity seemed to pass between them. "The pleasure is all mine," he managed to say, trying to ignore the way his heart raced at her touch. Over the next several days, Vala and her people showed the humans the wonders of their world. Towering crystal spires, vast gardens filled with exotic flora, and technology far beyond anything Earth had developed. Through it all, Jack found himself spending more and more time with Vala. They walked together in the gardens, talking for hours about their worlds and their hopes for the future. Jack told her of Earth's tumultuous history and the hard-won peace that had allowed them to reach for the stars. Vala shared the story of her people's own struggles and their longing to find kindred spirits in the universe. As the time drew near for the Odyssey to depart, Jack knew he had to tell Vala how he felt. On their last evening together, as the twin moons rose over the shimmering city, he took her hand and looked deep into her eyes. "Vala," he said softly, "I know it's crazy, but I feel like I'd known you all my life. Like we were meant to find each other." To his surprise, Vala smiled, her eyes shining with unused tears. "I feel it too, Jack, as if the stars themselves brought us together." Under the light of the alien moons, they shared a kiss filled with both sweetness and sorrow, knowing their duties to their own people might keep them apart. But in that moment, nothing else mattered. They had found each other against all odds, and that was enough. As the Odyssey lifted off, carrying the humans back to the stars, Jack knew his life would never be the same. He had touched the face of the unknown and found a love that transcended worlds. And deep in his heart, he knew this was only the beginning. In the weeks following the Odyssey's departure from Zelnia, Jack found himself consumed by thoughts of Queen Vala. Her sparkling eyes and gentle smile haunted his dreams, and he longed to be back in her presence. As fate would have it, the Odyssey was soon dispatched on a diplomatic mission to strengthen the newfound alliance between Earth and Zelnia. Jack's heart raced as they approached the shimmering planet once more. Upon landing, Jack was greeted by Vala's trusted advisor, Zorn. "The Queen has requested your presence in the royal gardens," Zorn said with a knowing smile. "She is eager to continue your discussions." Jack tried to hide his excitement as he followed Zorn through the winding paths of the garden. When they reached a secluded alcove, Vala was waiting, resplendent in a flowing gown that shimmered like starlight. "Jack," she breathed, her eyes shining with joy. "I have missed you." Unable to resist any longer, Jack pulled her into his arms, capturing her lips in a passionate kiss. For a moment, the rest of the universe fell away, and there was only the two of them, lost in each other's embrace. But their bliss was short-lived. Zorn cleared his throat, reminding them of the dangers of their forbidden romance. "My queen, Captain, I must advise caution. Your union would be seen as a threat by many on both Earth and Zelnia." Jack and Vala knew Zorn was right. Their love crossed boundaries that had never been breached before. But as they gazed into each other's eyes, they knew they could not stay apart. Over the next few months, they found stolen moments together whenever they could. Vala shared with Jack the hidden wonders of her world, crystal caves that sang with unearthly melodies, ancient ruins that held the secrets of her people's past. In turn, Jack taught Vala about Earth's customs and culture, marveling at her insatiable curiosity and quick mind. They debated philosophy and science, art and politics, finding in each other a truly equal partner. But their happiness was tinged with fear. They knew that every moment together was a risk, that they could be discovered at any time. Zorn did his best to help them keep their secret, but they could not escape the eyes of the palace for long. One night, as they lay entwined in Vala's chambers, she turned to Jack with tears in her eyes. "I fear for our future, my love. How can we continue to meet like this, always in the shadows?" Jack brushed a tear from her cheek, his heart aching with the same uncertainty. "We'll find a way, Vala. Our love is stronger than any obstacle." She nestled into his embrace, drawing strength from his presence. "On Zelnia, we have a saying. Love is the light that guides us through the darkest of nights. You are my light, Jack. No matter what happens, I will always find my way back to you." As the twin moons rose over the palace, Jack held Vala close, silently vowing to do whatever it took to keep her safe. He knew their love was forbidden, that it defied the laws of both their worlds. But he also knew that what they had was worth fighting for. They had found a connection that transcended species and culture, a bond forged in the heart of the universe itself. And so they clung to each other in the darkness, two hearts beating as one, determined to brave whatever storms lay ahead. For in the end, they knew that their love would be their greatest strength, a light to guide them through the challenges to come. As Jack and Vala's love grew deeper, so too did the risks they faced. They knew that every stolen moment together brought them closer to discovery and ruin. But even in their darkest moments, they found solace in each other's arms. One evening, as they walked hand in hand through the palace gardens, Vala suddenly stumbled, her face growing pale. Jack caught her in his arms, his heart racing with fear. "Vala, what's wrong?" he asked, searching her face for any sign of illness or injury. She shook her head, a trembling hand pressed to her stomach. "I don't know, Jack. I've been feeling strange for days now. Dizzy, nauseous. I thought it would pass, but..." A sudden realization dawned on Jack, a possibility that seemed both incredible and terrifying. "Vala," he whispered, "could you be pregnant?" Her eyes widened, shock and wonder warring in their depths. I don't know. It should be impossible. Our species are too different." But even as she spoke the words, Vala knew in her heart that Jack was right. She had felt the change within her, the subtle shift that heralded new life. With trembling hands, she reached for Jack, pulling him close. "What are we going to do, my love, if our people find out?" Jack held her tightly, his mind racing with the implications of this shocking discovery. A child born of their union would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. A being of two worlds, a symbol of the love that had defied all odds. "We'll figure this out together, Vala," he promised, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. "No matter what happens, I'll be by your side. You and our child." In the days that followed, Jack and Vala threw themselves into researching the possibilities of interspecies reproduction. They pored over ancient texts and scientific journals, seeking any clue that might help them understand the miracle growing within Vala's womb. As they delved deeper, they discovered whispers of a legend, a tale passed down through generations of Zelnians. It spoke of a child born of two worlds, a being whose very existence would herald a new age of peace and unity for the galaxy. Could their unborn child be the fulfillment of this ancient prophecy? Jack and Vala hardly dared to hope, but they knew they would do whatever it took to protect their little one. But even as they marveled at the incredible gift they had been given, they knew that their secret could not stay hidden forever. Vala's condition would soon become apparent, and they would have to face the consequences of their forbidden love. One night, as they lay in each other's arms, Vala turned to Jack with fear in her eyes. "What if they try to take our child away, Jack? What if they see our baby as a threat?" Jack's heart clenched at the thought, a fierce protectiveness surging through him. "I won't let that happen, Vala. We'll find a way to keep our family safe, no matter what." He placed a hand on her growing belly, marveling at the tiny life that lay within. "This child is a miracle, a symbol of everything we'd fought for, and I'll fight for you both until my last breath." Vala placed her hand over his, tears of love and gratitude shining in her eyes. "Together," she whispered, "we can face anything." As the twin moons cast their gentle light over the lovers, they knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges and uncertainties, but they also knew that they had something worth fighting for, a love that had transcended worlds and a child that represented the hope of a brighter future. And so, with hearts full of determination and eyes fixed on the stars, Jack and Vala prepared to face whatever lay ahead, secure in the knowledge that their love would be their greatest strength. As Vala's pregnancy progressed, whispers began to spread through the palace and beyond. Servants traded rumors in hushed tones, speculating about the queen's condition and the identity of the father. It wasn't long before the news reached the ears of the Zelnian High Council. The councilors were outraged by the revelation. A half-human child was an abomination in their eyes, a threat to the purity of the Zelnian bloodline. They demanded that Vala terminate the pregnancy immediately and banish Jack from Zelnian space. But Vala stood firm in the face of their fury. "This child is a blessing," she declared, her hand resting protectively on her growing belly. "A symbol of the love and unity that can exist between our peoples. I will not abandon my baby or the man I love." Her words only fueled the councilors' anger. They saw her defiance as a betrayal of her duty to her people. Some even whispered that she was unfit to rule, that her judgment had been clouded by her infatuation with the human captain. News of the scandal quickly spread beyond Zelnia's borders. Across the galaxy, reactions were mixed. Some saw the unborn child as an abomination, just as the Zelnian councilors did. They feared that the mixing of human and Zelnian DNA would create a new species that could threaten the balance of power in the galaxy. But others saw the pregnancy as a sign of hope. They believed that if a human and a Zelnian could find love and create new life together, then perhaps there was a chance for true peace and understanding between all species. On Earth, the revelation of Jack and Vala's relationship caused a sensation. Some hailed him as a hero, a pioneer who had bridged the gap between two worlds. Others condemned him as a traitor, a man who had turned his back on his own kind to mate with an alien. Amidst the chaos and controversy, a new threat began to emerge. Rival alien factions, seeing the potential power of a half-human, half-Zelnian child, began to plot and scheme. They saw the unborn baby as a weapon, a tool they could use to gain dominance over the other races of the galaxy. Spies and assassins infiltrated the Zelnian palace, seeking to kidnap Vala and steal her child. Jack and his crew worked tirelessly to protect her, but they knew they were outnumbered and outgunned. As the danger grew, Jack made a difficult decision. "We have to leave Zelnia," he told Vala one night, holding her close in the darkness of her chambers. "It's not safe for you or the baby here. We need to find somewhere far away, somewhere no one will think to look for us." Vala's heart ached at the thought of leaving her people, but she knew Jack was right. The risk was too great. "Where will we go?" she asked, fear and uncertainty clouding her voice. "I have a plan," Jack said, his jaw set with determination. "Trust me, my love. I won't let anything happen to you or our child." As they prepared to flee, Jack and Vala knew that they were not just fighting for their own future, but for the future of the entire galaxy. Their love had set in motion a chain of events that could reshape the balance of power and change the course of history. But even in the face of such overwhelming odds, they refused to give up hope. They clung to each other, drawing strength from the bond that had brought them together across the vast expanse of space. And as they set out into the unknown, Jack and Vala knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. For their love was more than just a fleeting passion. It was a force that could illuminate the darkness and guide them through the storms to come. Jack and Vala slipped away from the palace in the dead of night, their hearts heavy with the weight of their decision. They knew that leaving Zelnia behind meant turning their backs on everything they had ever known, but they also knew that it was the only way to keep their unborn child safe. With the help of Jack's loyal crew, they'd managed to board the Odyssey undetected. As the ship lifted off into the star-studded sky, Vala watched her homeworld shrink away into the distance, tears streaming down her face. Jack wrapped her in his arms, his own eyes glistening with emotion. "I'm so sorry, my love," he whispered. "I know how much Zelnia means to you, but I promise, we'll find a way to make this right. We'll find a new home, a place where our family can be safe and happy." Vala nodded, burying her face in his chest. She knew that as long as she had Jack by her side, she could face anything the universe threw at them. But even as they set their course for the farthest reaches of the galaxy, danger was already hot on their heels. The Zelnian High Council had branded them as traitors, and bounty hunters from across the stars were eager to cash in on the sizable reward for their capture. They jumped from system to system, always staying one step ahead of their pursuers. Jack's crew worked tirelessly to keep the Odyssey flying, patching up damages and finding new ways to evade detection. But it wasn't just the bounty hunters they had to worry about. The rival alien factions who sought to claim their child as a weapon were also in hot pursuit. They had spies and informants in every corner of the galaxy, always seeming to know where Jack and Vala were heading next. There were close calls and narrow escapes, moments when it seemed like all hope was lost. But through it all, Jack and Vala's love for each other and their unborn child never wavered. They found solace in stolen moments of peace, in the quiet hours when it was just the two of them, dreaming of the future they hoped to build together. Jack would rest his hand on Vala's growing belly, marveling at the tiny life that was growing stronger every day. "Our baby is going to be so loved," he would whisper, his eyes shining with adoration. "With you as a mother, how could they be anything but extraordinary?" Vala would smile, leaning into his touch. "And with you as a father, they will know what it means to be brave, to fight for what's right. We're going to give them a world where they can be anything they want to be." But even as they clung to their dreams, the reality of their situation was never far from their minds. They knew that they couldn't run forever, that sooner or later they would have to face the forces that sought to tear them apart. One night, as they lay in each other's arms, Jack made a decision. "We need allies," he said, his voice heavy with determination. "We can't do this alone. We need to find people who believe in what we're fighting for, who will stand with us against the darkness." Vala nodded, her eyes blazing with the same fierce resolve. "You're right, my love. We've been running for too long. It's time to start fighting back." And so, as the Odyssey charted a new course through the stars, Jack and Vala began to reach out to old friends and new, building a network of support that stretched across the galaxy. They knew that the road ahead would be long and hard, that there would be sacrifices and heartbreaks along the way. But they also knew that they had something worth fighting for, a love that had defied the odds, a child that represented hope for a better future. And with that love as their guide, they knew that they could face whatever the universe had in store for them, together. As the weeks turned into months, Jack and Vala's alliance against the forces that sought to destroy them grew stronger. They found allies in unexpected places, a rogue Zelnian general who had grown disillusioned with the High Council's corruption, a human mercenary band who had once fought against Jack, but now pledged their loyalty to his cause. Together, they planned and strategized, always staying one step ahead of their enemies. But even as they fought for their future, Vala knew that her time was running short. The baby was coming, and they needed to find a safe place for the birth. Jack used every resource at his disposal to find a suitable location, a remote, uninhabited planet on the fringes of known space. It was a harsh and unforgiving world, with jagged mountains and deep crevices, but it was also a place where no one would think to look for them. As Vala's labor began, Jack was by her side every step of the way. He held her hand and wiped the sweat from her brow, whispering words of encouragement and love. And when at last their son emerged into the world, his cries echoing off the rocky walls of the cave where they had taken shelter, Jack felt a joy unlike any he had ever known. They named him Zane, a name that meant gift in the ancient language of Zelnia. And as Jack held his son in his arms for the first time, he knew that he would do anything to protect this precious gift, to give him a life of peace and happiness. As Zane grew, it became clear that he was no ordinary child. His unique hybrid DNA granted him abilities beyond those of either humans or Zelnians. He could hear whispers on the wind from miles away, could see the faintest traces of light in the deepest darkness. Under Jack and Vala's guidance, he learned to harness these abilities, to use them for good. They taught him the value of compassion and understanding, the importance of building bridges instead of walls. And as word of the half-human prince began to spread throughout the galaxy, something remarkable started to happen. People from all races and all walks of life began to rally around Zane, seeing in him a symbol of hope and unity. On war-torn planets, fighters laid down their weapons and came together in peace. In the halls of power, leaders who had once been bitter enemies found common ground and forged new alliances. And through it all, Zane remained humble and kind, always using his gifts to help others. He healed the sick and brought comfort to the grieving, spreading light wherever he went. As the years passed, Jack and Vala watched with pride as their son grew into a strong and wise leader. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would always be those who feared and hated what they did not understand. But they also knew that Zane had the power to change hearts and minds, to show the galaxy that there was another way, a way of love and understanding, of unity and hope. And so, when the time came for Zane to take his place on the galactic stage, Jack and Vala stood by his side, their hearts filled with love and pride. They had fought so hard and sacrificed so much to bring their son into the world, to give him the chance to make a difference. As Zane stepped forward to address the assembled leaders of 100 worlds, Jack took Vala's hand in his, their eyes meeting in a moment of perfect understanding. They had done it. Against all odds, they had created something beautiful and powerful, a legacy that would endure long after they were gone. And as they watched their son speak words of wisdom and compassion, words that would echo across the stars and change the course of history, Jack and Vala knew that everything they had been through, every struggle and every sacrifice, had been worth it. For in Zane, they had given the galaxy the greatest gift of all, hope for a brighter tomorrow. As Zane took his place as a leader on the galactic stage, the change that swept through the stars was unlike anything the universe had ever seen. Under his guidance, old rivalries and grudges began to fade away, replaced by a new spirit of cooperation and understanding. He traveled from world to world, meeting with leaders and common people alike. He listened to their stories and their struggles, and he showed them that there was another way, a way of peace and unity. On Earth, he helped to broker a historic agreement between the warring factions that had long divided the planet. Under Zane's guidance, they came together to form a new government, one that represented the interests of all humans, not just the powerful few. On Zelnia, he worked to heal the rifts that had torn his mother's people apart. He showed them that there was strength in diversity, that the things that made them different also made them beautiful and unique. And in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, he brought hope to those who had long been forgotten. He helped to rebuild shattered worlds and broken lives, always leading with compassion and kindness. As the years passed, Zane's legend only grew. Stories of his wisdom and benevolence spread from star to star, inspiring countless others to follow in his footsteps. And through it all, Jack and Vala were by his side, watching with pride as their son fulfilled the destiny they had always known he was meant for. They had long since made peace with their own people, and now they worked tirelessly to support Zane in his mission. They helped to establish the Galactic Alliance, a new organization dedicated to fostering peace and cooperation among all the peoples of the universe. With Earth and Zelnia as its founding members, the Alliance quickly grew to include hundreds of worlds, all united in their commitment to a brighter future. And at the heart of it all was Zane, the half-human prince who had become a symbol of hope for an entire galaxy. He worked tirelessly to bring people together, to find common ground where none had existed before. There were challenges and setbacks, of course. There were those who clung to the old ways, who feared the change that Zane represented. But through it all, he remained steadfast in his belief that a better world was possible. And slowly but surely, the galaxy began to change. Wars that had raged for generations came to an end. Ancient enemies became allies, working together for the common good. And everywhere, people began to see each other not as aliens or outsiders, but as fellow beings, all deserving of love and respect. As Jack and Vala watched their son lead the galaxy into a new era of peace and prosperity, they knew that their journey had come full circle. They had started as two lonely souls, adrift in a vast and uncaring universe. But through their love for each other, they had found a purpose and a home. And now, as they looked out across the stars, they saw a galaxy transformed by that love. They saw a universe where anything was possible, where even the most unlikely of unions could create something beautiful and enduring. Hand in hand, they watched as Zane took his place among the greatest leaders in history, a shining beacon of hope for all who looked to the stars and dreamed of a better tomorrow. And they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, no matter what darkness might threaten the fragile peace they had worked so hard to build, their love would always be there to light the way. For in the end, that was the true power of their union, not the strength of their weapons or the might of their ships, but the unbreakable bond that had brought them together across the vast expanse of space, a love that had changed the galaxy forever, and that would endure long after the stars themselves had faded into memory.